I would like to start this video with the famous quote from Marcus Garvey. He said people without knowledge of their past history is like a tree without any roots. Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to take you through the 2,000-year history of the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church. This history apostolic tradition was passed down through the generations and is also backed by historical evidence. The Syro-Malabar Church of southwestern India traces its origins back to St. Thomas the Apostle, and so the Christians of Kerala are called Mar Thoma Christians. They are the only Christian community anywhere in the world to be known after an apostle. They were also called Nazranis, and they were all one community. The history of Christianity in Kerala led to many splits, so now there are many denominations, but in this video I will focus on the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church. St. Thomas lived in the 1st century and was an apostle of Jesus. St. Thomas reached Kerala using the historic trade routes. He evangelized many people in Kerala who chose to convert to Christianity. St. Thomas' time in India is detailed in the Ramban Potu. In AD 52 he arrived at Mussoorie's port by using the monsoon winds at times to get from Alexandria to Kerala in just 40 days. There is evidence for these trade links, like the Mussoorie's papyrus and numerous coinages and artifacts. St. Thomas established 7.5 churches. He was martyred in AD 72 in Mylapore, Tamil Nadu. In AD 345, Thomas of Kanna arrived and met Christians in Kerala. The faithful of the Kottayam diocese are his descendants. The traditions of the Nazranis formed due to Syrian influence. The word Syro means Syrian, and Malabar is the west coast of Kerala. The Nazranis still kept lots of their Indian cultural practices, such as the use of thali in weddings. Bishops arrived from Persia and they looked after spiritual needs, while the archdeacon from Kerala had charge of temporal goods. In 1498, Vasco da Gama arrived in Kerala. Colonies were established, and traders from Portugal joined locals for Holy Mass. Missionaries from Portugal, including St. Francis Xavier, arrived. The Portuguese explorers were under the impression that these Indian Christians were heretics and forcibly imposed the Latin Rite over the 16th century. Many ideological conflicts followed due to various reasons, and both parties had good faith in their beliefs. Following the death of the last Eastern bishop in 1597, the 1599 Synod of Diamper officially brought the Syro-Malabar Christians under Portuguese Catholic rule. This synod was not actually approved by the Pope, so it wasn't official. Of course, there were many issues. The Portuguese rule was often justified with more political and economic reasons than religious ones. Some defied the Catholic Church by appointing their own bishop at the Kun and Cross Satyam. The Nazranis split into two factions, the new faction and the old faction. The Syro-Malabar Church is an old faction church. Later, a group of the new faction ended up accepting the Pope and became the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church. The St. Thomas Christians were squeezed between the authority of the Padroado propaganda conflict. In 1786, the Angamali Padiola was made under Permacultoma Kathala. This document appealed to the Pope for the consecration of a native bishop and autonomy for the Church. The papacy stepped in to correct these wrongs. Rome took authority from the Portuguese. The liturgy, however, had been so heavily destroyed due to Latinization that it was indistinguishable from the Latin Rite. On May 20, 1887, Pope Leo XIII established Thrissur and Kottayam vicariates, and the term Syro-Malabar was used for the first time. Also in 1896, the jurisdiction was limited to Kerala only, and the Ernakulam Vicariate was established. The Syro-Malabar hierarchy was established on December 21, 1923, by the Apostolic Constitution Romani Pontifices of Pope Pius XI. Ernakulam was made a metropolitan see, and Thrissur, Changanacheri and Kottayam were suffragan dioceses. In 1956, Changanacheri was made a metropolitan see with Pala as a suffragan diocese. The restoration of a hierarchy initiated a liturgical reform that sought to restore the Oriental identity of the Latinized Syro-Malabar Rite. A restored liturgy, from the original East Syriac sources, was approved by Pope Pius XII in 1957. On the Feast of St. Thomas on the 3rd July 1962, the vernacular was introduced for the celebration of the Kurbana. Up until this point, the Syro-Malabar Holy Kurbana was celebrated in Syriac. Currently we celebrate the anaphora of Mar Adai and Mar Mari. The anaphora of Mar Theodore and the anaphora of Mar Nestorius are also in use. In the following years, several new dioceses were established both within and outside Kerala. From 1962, the church began to set up mission centres in northern India, which later became dioceses. The last 40 years have been a period of steady growth for the Syro-Malabar Church. To some extent, restoring the St. Thomas identity and the East Syriac tradition was achieved through the earnest and dedicated effort of several individuals. The two key figures are Mar Joseph Cariatil and Parmakal Toma Katuna. Mar Joseph Cariatil, Bishop of Kodungallur Archdiocese, was the first native Indian to be ordained as a bishop on 16 July 1782. The narration of their 8-year-long journey to Rome and Lisbon, written by Parmakal Toma Katuna, called the Vartamana Pustukam, is the first ever travelogue written in an Indian language. On December 16, 1992, Pope John Paul II raised the Syro-Malabar Church to the status of major archiepiscopal sui juris church, and in 2004, the Holy See granted full administrative powers to the Syro-Malabar Church, including the power to elect bishops. On 24th May 2011, Mar George Alan Jerry was elected major archbishop. He was the first head of the Syro-Malabar Church to be elected by its synod. The Syro-Malabar Church grew more, looking after the needs of those outside Kerala. On the 10th of October 2017, through the Eparchy of Shamshabad, the Syro-Malabar Church was given jurisdiction for pastoral care and evangelization all over India. On March 13, 2001, the Syro-Malabar Catholic Eparchy of Chicago was established, the first Syro-Malabar Eparchy outside India. Today, the Syro-Malabar Church is the largest group of St. Thomas Christians. The other two Catholic churches in India are the Latin Church and the Syro-Malankara Church. There are also Orthodox and Protestant churches in Kerala. In 2021, the Syro-Malabar Synod of Bishops reformed the Kurbana. The Syro-Malabar Church adopted a uniformed manner of celebration liturgies, removing the incorrect practice of facing ad populum during the anaphora. The Liturgy of the Word and the final blessing is now celebrated ad populum, while the anaphora is celebrated ad orientem, according to the East Syriac tradition. Today, the Syro-Malabar Church counts around 4.6 million faithful in 35 eparchies across India and in the diaspora.